Counting the.
Cost of becoming a dentist.
Okay, great. Oh, why did you become a dentist?
I actually became a dentist because I loved going to the dental office as a kid.
As
It's
a
not for everyone.
as a kid.
As a kid, I grew up in Russia and I loved going to the dentist, which looking back, I find it scary because nobody should love going to the dentist, especially in Russia in like the 1990s. But
Wow.
yeah, I loved it a lot, and my parents saw that as an opportunity to encourage me.
Uh huh.
And then when I was in high school and trying to figure out where to go, my older brother was going into dental school, and he's like, "Hey, you should do this, and we can do it together." And so that solidified it, and I started my journey to become a dentist.
Did you say your brother is also a dentist?
My older brother's a dentist, and my younger brother is in dental school right now.
Did you say your parents encouraged you to become a dentist?
Mm-hmm.
Are your parents dentists?
Nope.
Why did they encourage? Why did they encourage you?
Um, they were kind of looking and they're like, this is a really great opportunity to be able to help other people as well as really, reaching out and not being under somebody else's thumb. You can make your own hours, you can make your own schedule. And in that sense, they were very encouraging of allowing me to pursue that medical profession with a little bit of um, you know, freedom, because a doctor doesn't have much freedom in a hospital setting.
That's very true. They're always on call and
Mm-hmm.
they're super busy. They're tired, but I think being a business owner is the best thing if you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So kind of be your own boss, right?
Oh, that's awesome. So, as you saw Dennis around you, especially your brother, what
Mm-hmm.
came to your mind? What kind of things attracted you, other than what you have just mentioned?
What kind of things attracted me? I think at that point, what I just mentioned didn't attract me. It attracted my parents to, because they're like, they had the foresight of, this is a really good career. And for me, it was more of, I think, a compilation of dentistry is a very creative field. It may not seem like so, but it actually has a lot of uh, artistic value in it, and you're always working with your hands, as well as being able to connect with the patient um, and being able to have that aspect of speaking with someone, creating something, and also just kind of like working and developing. I mean, how cool is it when you think about it? Something that you've made, a little artwork, if you will, is in somebody's mouth after you finish a filling or a crown, right? A little piece of the work that you've done is always with someone.
Well, that's really interesting because I interviewed a dentist in Australia, and she basically said the same thing. She loved art, and she wanted to pursue art, and she realized pursuing art doesn't give you money, as much money as a dentist. So
Mm-hmm.
she's enjoying pursuing art and dentistry at the same time. So, and as an average person,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much you can be artistic as a dentist. Because in my mind, somebody else makes the shape of the tooth. All the doctor is doing is just putting it in there. So what kind of artistic experiences do you see that dentists can do?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, I guess, artistic value in, um, for example, you're doing a filling, but you have to create the cavity into which you place that filling, right? You take out the decay, the bad part of the tooth, and then you're like, well, for this to function properly, it needs to have some sort of configuration to hold that filling. So you're engineering it a little bit. Then you place the filling, making sure everything is smooth around, and then you get the part of kind of blending it back into the tooth. This creative aspect really is highlighted when you're like working on a front tooth, and you want to make sure that if somebody smiles, you can't tell that work has been done on their tooth, right?
Uh,
And so, going into if you're working on a front tooth, is the color matching well? Is the shape proper? because it could be a little bit fatter, a little bit thinner, and somebody notices that right away. And so being able to do that and having feedback from the individual you're doing that for is kind of entertaining.
Actually, that's very shocking because I didn't know it was that much artistic work. So isn't that shaping of the tooth done by somebody else? I don't know what to call them.
Um,
Dental
yeah,
something.
like a lab technician.
Yeah. Don't they do
Yeah.
that? But you have to pick the
So
color
as
and
a
shape and everything. Make the decision, and they just make it, right?
Yeah. And so, like, when you graduate dental school, that's kind of what it comes down to. In dental school, the experience really is we use wax, and like on cast models, we actually wax in this tooth form. And so we're able to add wax, take away, kind of check and make sure that we're able to get the right shape. And when you're working like on a tooth that's in the front, you can definitely tell, the technician be like, do whatever you want. But at times, you might have a little bit more success when you sit down, think about it, and really tell the lab, like, oh, the tooth shape is like this, the color is like this, because they've never seen the patient, but you're the one who has the experience with the patient. And
Wow.
yeah, I think it depends on how involved you want to be with the process. Um, Dentistry is such a place that if you really want like hands off, you just kind of take an impression and send it off. Nobody will, say anything. But if you want to be involved with the process and make it personalized to the patient, you can really have that kind of say and uh, participation in it.
Wow, that's so amazing. Thank you for telling me that because I had no idea that much involvement can be done by a
Mm-hmm.
dentist as he communicates how much he would expect from a lab technician. So
Mm-hmm.
let me go back to your story of your childhood. So when you were a child, every child hates dental clinic. Why
Mm-hmm.
were you so different?
I I'm not sure. My parents say I don't have memories of this.
Okay.
My parents would say that I'd go to the dentist and I'd come back beaming, and I'm like, it was like a bee. It was incredible. It's, like a bee flew into my mouth and made me a filling, and I think it maybe came down to the fact that I had a really incredible pediatric dentist who really
Oh,
cared about kids, and I think as a
wow.
child I felt very comfortable there. Um,
Wow.
and maybe, another thing is that I believe in a certain aspect that, God takes care of everyone. And maybe this was just an area where I was blessed to be exposed to that as a child. And my parents saw that as an opportunity to kind of water that seed. I don't have memories of this, but my parents were like, you loved the dentist. I kind of have one memory. Um, when my first tooth was loose. The way that I lost my tooth was me and my older brother were playing dentist. And so we got into we made a dental office in the closet with like a bunch of quilts, and I was sitting and my front tooth was loose, and my older brother was kind of like tapping. He's like, oh yes, it's very loose, it needs to come out, yada yada yada. And my dad comes from work, and it was winter, so, and his hands were really dry, and he's like, oh, you guys are playing, your tooth is loose, let me see. And he puts his fingers on my tooth, but because they were so dry, they got stuck to my tooth. And so when he pulled away, he pulled the tooth out.
What?
And so, yeah, but it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt me.
Oh, it was
And
so
he was just
loose.
kind of standing there with the tooth on and he's like, I have your tooth. And when I saw it, I just started crying.
that's that's so funny. So
Yeah.
so
So
the
I remember that. I guess, I really like the dentist if I played dentist with my siblings.
so these two future dentists were playing with teeth.
Exactly.
That's incredible. I still wonder if you literally enjoy going to a dental clinic because that's when I pray the most because it's very painful. Even scaling is painful. It's not as bad
Oh.
because I am rinsing my mouth more these days after I eat fruits and I'm
Mhm.
flossing my teeth, so I feel a little bit better these days. But
Mhm.
that's the moment I experience the most pain of the year whenever I visit a dental clinic. So, are you still enjoying going there as a patient, or do you have no
I
cavity?
actually, it's a double-edged sword. I understand that if I need to go for fillings or something like that, it's bad because I get more fillings, right? But I don't mind going to the dentist. I like, it might sound weird, I kind of enjoy the after effects of the anesthetic coming off and your face feeling weird.
Wow, that's crazy.
So it's I don't like going to the dentist because I'm like, if I go to the dentist, I'd rather just do a cleaning. But I have no negative, and I've had a lot of work done um, as a kid because I really liked sugar. Growing up, that really affected my teeth. But
Oh.
I never had like a fear of like later on that's developed and like, oh, I don't like going to the dentist. I've always had enjoyed my time there. That's never changed. So um, I know it's not for everyone, but that's been my
You
experience.
you almost sound like an alien.
A little bit. And but now that I guess it's nicer and more fun to go to the dentist because it's my brother treats my teeth. So just as he was treating
Oh.
my tooth when I was a kid,
Oh, I
now
see.
that he's a dentist, if I need to get any work done or even just cleanings, I just go to him and he does it. So it's always fun.
So when did you become a dentist and like what year how old were you when you were getting treatment from your brother?
So he became a dentist 2018, and I think I was around 23, 24.
So did you enjoy going to dental clinic before 23 too?
Yeah. But I had most of my work done there, and actually, while my brother was going through dental school, he had to do a couple of crowns, and he did them on me to
Wow.
pass those classes. So, um, yeah, I've never had a bad experience at the dentist, and even if I did, in terms of it was a little painful. I never had the response of I'm never going back again because it was uncomfortable.
I think for me, it's not like I don't want to go back because I have to go back, but the pain is just so much. I don't know if it's because I am a guy that has
Mm-hmm.
less tolerance than
Mm-hmm.
a woman, but I think it's also because your dentist was your brother. Because when it was my church elder, when he was telling me all these funny stories while I was opening my mouth, I was like laughing, and he was constantly talking. I
Mm-hmm.
almost felt no pain because he was talking
Mm-hmm.
to me, and I was laughing. He was asking me questions. I was answering his questions. I was answering his questions. I was like, this is the most ridiculous experience ever, but it was the best because Dennis knew me personally. I knew him personally, and he
Mm-hmm.
was talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that personal connection is such a powerful thing, and
Oh, it's incredible. There's been studies done that like the more anxiety you feel, the high or the lower your pain threshold is. So like if you have no anxiety, it takes more to actually be able to sense pain. And also something to throw into the mix is that everybody's teeth are different in terms of how they sense things. I know some friends that they hate going to get their teeth cleaned because, as you said, it sucks. It's so painful. It's very uncomfortable. And some individuals, they just question: are you able to like take like a ice cream bar and just like bite into it, or does that hurt your teeth?
oh, that's fine. But I think when I was not rinsing my mouth after I ate fruit, or when I was
Mm-hmm.
not flossing my teeth, I think my teeth were more sensitive. But now I think
Yeah.
it's a little bit better.
Okay, yeah. See, so you can kind of relate where your teeth were less, more sensitive before and now less sensitive.
Yeah.
There's people who have different tooth sensitivity.
Uh,
And so, in that same kind of scope, when we do work and like putting an aesthetic, some people need more an aesthetic because their teeth are more sensitive in that sense and they have more anxiety. So it's harder to get them numb. Um, and so having that personal connection, having as least anxiety as possible, being able to get the proper medication, and being aware that everybody's tooth feels things differently, I think is the fun interactive part of dentistry.
I think you're gonna be a great dentist because I can see how you can be very friendly. Because most dentists that have treated me, other than that specific dentist, and the another one that I also know personally, like I'm like this, and he's talking to me here. I can't even see him. Like that's how dentists usually talk to patients in Korea,
Oh,
typically.
uh-huh.
So I feel like I'm talking to a robot or talking to somebody non-existent,
Mm-hmm.
anonymous. So I think that's where the anxiety comes because I don't feel like there is any personal connection. I'm just like looking into the
Oh yeah.
camera.
Mm-hmm. And that, I feel like, you're also in a vulnerable position where you're like mouth open, you can't do anything. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what you need.
Yeah,
Like anxiety's creeping up.
yeah,
You have nobody there, and then you leave and you're tired. You're
exactly.
like,
And I was like, my eyes are like kind of watering and.
yeah. So, totally, I agree with you. It's so important to have somebody, by your side, and being able to read the patient too.
Yeah.
Because, some people are okay with, you talking in the back and like, they're fine with it. But some people are like, they'd rather be sitting up, have the discussion, kind of take a moment to take a breath and then be able to be put back. So it's really finding being a dentist is not, um, if you do work as a dentist just to do the work of a dentist, you have failed because you're just doing the crown or you're just doing the filling or the cleaning, and that's all the patient is. But that tooth is attached to a person, and so you're really treating the person, so you have to take into account who they are before you can see the problem of what they need.
Wow, that really means a lot because people don't go there just get their teeth done. They also go there to make connections. They want to feel
Yeah.
better, and they
Hmm.
they want to know they actually the dentist or the faculties actually care about them.
And in my experience, has made a world of a difference. I've had an individual who, during most of my dental education was during COVID in the clinic.
Yeah.
I had an individual who came and he didn't meet any other people except going to the medical office or to the dental office, and because he had a heart transplant, and that made him very immunocompromised.
Mm.
And so he would come to the dental clinic, and we would chat, hang out, and then I check up on his teeth. And after I was graduating, he was like, that meant so much to me because I made a connection with you, and you were one of the only people I saw throughout these years. um, so it was really heartwarming to see that if you take the time to appreciate someone, you may not know how much they actually needed to be appreciated.
That's very true.
And yeah, you'll see that kind of feedback, and it just makes me happy that I was able to make a difference in someone's life, not only because I fixed their toothache,
Hey,
but because I was able to be there for them.
you cannot even purchase that kind of service,
No.
but that's more than money.
Mm-hmm.
Because my dad passed away from cancer, and I saw a hospital or any medical facility as a horrible place where there is no human connection. But every time when there is a faculty that is genuine in their approach to patients, I think patients feel a lot better. So let me go into your ins and out of your actual becoming a dentist experience. So how did you get into medical school? What did you prepare? What actually went into the preparation?
A lot of my parents' nerves. I thank them for it. That's the first thing that went in. um, basically, here, as I got my education in the US, I know it's different depending on the country that you're in. In the United States, you graduate high school, which is 12 years of schooling, right? Elementary, middle school, high school. And then you have to go and get your bachelor's. And my bachelor's took me 5 years. Um, I did a bachelor's in biochemistry. And on top of it all, I had to make sure that I had all the prerequisites to get into dental school.
Ah,
So you could do any kind of major. My brother did a music major, but regardless, he had to tack on the classes that you really needed to apply, the prerequisites. Um, Thankfully, mine overlapped a lot with my bachelor's, and so I was able to do that. I went through and had to do a test called a dental admissions test. Um, and that gives you a score from 1 to 30. And depending on your scores, how competitive you are. I think I got like a 21, which is in the average, closer to more competitive side of the rating. I think 19 or 18 is usually kind of like the starting off where they're actually consider you. 21 is pretty good. Anything above that, you're really, really top notch. Um, and they tested you on like your organic chemistry, your general chemistry, your physics, your reading skill and comprehension, your perception ability. We had different angles that were within 2 or 3 degrees of each other,
yeah.
and you had to be able to look at the angle and say which one was the smallest degree and which one had the biggest degree. And when you look at them, they all look the same because the difference is so small.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, before practicing for this exam, it was a lot of like looking at different angles and being able to be like, okay, I think this one is a degree more than this one. So at the so kind of training your eye for small differences because we work in millimeters. Um, and
Oh.
so the cost of that, I think, was getting your bachelor's. I was able to do my first 2 years at a community college, which came out mostly free for me. And then with the support of parents, being able to live with them, going through bachelor's, I think maybe overall, without the financial aid or stuff that I had to pay myself, was maybe like $10,000 or $15,000. So pretty decent, but it was a lot of um, going through and making sure that you have all the right paperwork and then submitting the application, being able to find references and submitting your transcript, making sure that you're at least the 3.5 to a 4.0 GPA. Um, and yeah, then hoping for the best and waiting for an interview.
Wow. Well, how did you get the education for free at the community college?
Because uh, where where my family was at the time, we qualified for a the government to basically give me financial aid.
Ah, I see.
And at a community college, the credits are so cheap that the
Ah,
financial aid covered everything.
I see. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it was really incredible, and so that's what I did. I had the best time going to a community college. This is advice to anyone who thinks university is better than community college. That is not true. Some of the best faculty, smartest, kindest, and actually willing to invest in students were in community college. I found a small handful like that in the university, and they ended up leaving because of university politics. If you
Oh,
want to find good instructors, check out your community college. It's cheaper, and you actually have a better um, chance at learning and integrating what you learn because you have a personal connection with the professor.
does it feel like you're like so community college is more of a homey feeling? Like people are more
Yeah.
like
Uh,
chill?
per, yeah, they're more chill. Depends on the community college you go to, but
Yeah.
mine was really chill. People are kind of it's a great place for people to either start off doing something or um, much smaller. The classes are smaller. You're able to find the professors a lot easier. Yeah, everything about it, it was because it's just downscaled, and a lot of people here that go to a community college typically, are trying to get like their GED or just kind of starting off the schooling process or looking for something that's more affordable than the university, you're
Uh-huh.
kind of everybody's really kind to each other. There's,
Oh,
everybody's on a level playing field. And
oh.
I had a great time at a community college, and I was able to take classes that had nothing to do with my major. I took a lot of music classes, and I was able to do that because I was able to afford it.
Oh, I see. Wow, that's great. Wow. So, typically in Korea, when a student who is a 10-year-old says, "Oh, I want to be a dentist," and that means you're gonna study all day long, study all the time, read books all the time, getting A's all the time, not really much playing, middle school, high school, studying all day long until 12 midnight, just like studying, 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 studying. So, before you hit college, how was your life?
Before I hit college, how was my life? Here in the U.S., the environment for middle school, high school is much different. Um, Whereas, our classes go to from like 8 to 3. The classes are really, you can take more advanced classes, but they are generally uh, very friendly in terms of if you really want a challenge, you want to be looking at college classes. They do a good job of trying to cater to everybody's level, and sometimes that means that if you want to pursue something further, you have to be able to learn and challenge yourself. Um, and the environment of my high school was a lot of people would be focused on um, sports or something extracurricular afterwards. There wasn't a lot of need to actually sit and study till like late at night unless like a big project was done. But so a lot of my friends in high school had a lot of free time and were able to just hang out. It is a lot more free in that sense. I think the stress of like, oh, I need to worry about becoming a dentist really comes when you're going through college instead of high school. Because in my understanding, I think in Korea, you do the test for like medical school or university after high school, right? And you don't need a bachelor's to go to dental school.
I'm not sure how things are different, but many students, I think there are two routes. You can go to graduate school, that's equivalent to medical school or something, and then you can go straight into undergrad. I'm not too sure,
Okay.
but the norm is during high school years, your GPA should be like top,
Mm-hmm.
and then they prepare that high school courses since you are young. So that's what they
Mm.
study from elementary school all the way middle school, high school.
Mm.
But it's not like that. The dynamic over there.
No, no. I guess you can. The biggest thing that I think they looked at, like my dental school really looked at, was your GPA in college.
Mm.
Your high school GPA was like, well, okay, it was high school. Um, and so, I had a decent high school GPA. My brother had a horrible high school GPA, but he turned that around in college and was a competitive applicant for dental school. And so I feel like there's a little bit more freedom in high school in the States. My co resident from Greece, from high school, they apply straight to dental school or medical school. And so for them, it was important to have a good GPA or rank
Yeah.
in high school
Yeah.
because it was very competitive. Like 100 students would be accepted, right?
Oh, I think it's very
Into
similar to what happens here.
yeah, and so I think if we didn't need to do the bachelor's, then that would be the case. But here you have to go through, another 4 years to get your bachelor's of whatever you want, and that gives you kind of that buffer of if you were just fooling around in high school, you could get something together and go into
Wow.
dental school later.
It's just so amazing. Every time I go to America, and I see students not studying all day long, it's just so wonderful. So, how was your experience at the dental school?
Um, I I loved it. I loved my dental school. Um, there's two portions to my dental school, um, and mixed feelings. I loved what I learned and what I learned from the faculty and the dentist that trained me. Um, the administration portion was something left much to be desired. So I won't really talk about that portion of the school. But in terms of being able to um, interact with a lot of the people that were in the dental school that trained us were individuals that really cared about the students, and they were dentists who went from private practice and decided to be professors that have been teaching for ages, and they're really there for the students regardless of the situation at the school. They were always there for the students and trying to do their best for us. And so I am very appreciative and thankful for every single one of my faculty. Because of them, I had a spectacular experience and a grown desire and appreciation for the dental field.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think I was really blessed with having the kind of faculty that I had. Um, they were very incredible.
That's awesome. So you love your teachers.
I love my teachers a lot. I still keep in contact with a lot of them. Um, the fact that I'm in residency right now and pursuing prosthodontics is because of their support and their encouragement. So, where the institution or the school itself has failed me, my instructors have been have compensated that more than I could have imagined. And so I'm always forever thankful for every single faculty that I was trained under, because they really taught me how to, approach care very critically, but also in a very personal way where you're really, the goal of treatment is to treat the patient. And sometimes, it's not so much about the filling or the tooth, but being able to make a connection with the patient.
Wow, that's awesome. So so 5 years of bachelor's and then how long is a dental school?
Dental school is 4 years.
And community college was 2 years.
Hmm.
Was it?
Oh, a community college?
Yeah.
So community college was 2 years.
Uh huh.
University was 3 years, so total five.
Okay, okay.
Yes. And then dental school is 4 more years. So to become a dentist, a licensed dentist, um, it took me 9 years. For some people, it took 8. I took a little longer on my bachelor's. Instead of 4 years, I did 5.
And then you were pursuing. You said something.
Prosthodontics.
What is that?
Prosthodontics is a specialty of dentistry, and it basically focuses on full mouth rehabilitation. So if somebody comes to a dentist and they need more than like a couple of fillings and crowns, they need like their whole mouth reorganized and reconstructed, or they need dentures or partial dentures or full mouth crowns everywhere, I would be the one to do that. I would be
Wow.
able to provide them, the implants, the crowns, the fillings, the dentures, whatever it is, to give them their full function and aesthetics back.
So those patients need them because they have so many cavities or their like tooth or teeth are very weak.
For multiple reasons. For example, if a simplest example I can provide is that the way that your teeth are naturally, if they're in proper alignment, they protect your jaw and your joints and the way you eat and speak. Um, and for example, some people are really bad clenchers or grinders, like they grind at night.
Okay.
And if an individual grinds and clenches hard enough, they can actually wear down their teeth where that protective mechanism is lost.
I
And
see.
they can, end up having problems with their jaw. They can end up losing their teeth because of how much they've worn down their teeth. And
Oh,
so for me, I would see that, and I would, go and put crowns on them, and being able to, where, say, they were grinding down, and that distance between the teeth has shrunk because they ground down their teeth. I would help with crowns to be able to build them back up where they naturally were
Ah,
and bring back that protective mechanism to make sure that they don't hurt their jaw joint, that they keep their teeth, um, that, if they had any chipping or wear that they were concerned about with aesthetics, I would fix that.
oh, I see. So so 2 years community college, 3 years of university, and then 5 years of dental school, and then
4 years of dental school.
4 years of dental school, and then residency is how long?
3 years.
3 more years, and you're in your first year.
I'm in my first year.
First year. So how is it different from a dental school experience right
It's amazing.
now?
It's amazing. If there's anybody who is like in the dental field or, wherever else and you have the opportunity for a residency, do residency hands down. Um, I heard from a lot of my faculty that and mentors that it's the best thing that they've done. And I was like, it's more school. How could it be the best thing, right? It's the best thing that I will ever do. It is absolutely incredible with how you get to grow, how you get to develop, the people that you meet, how much you learn. And I'm here because I want to learn more. Dental school is a lot of you're there because you have to learn. People are like, I just want to be a dentist and I want to get out.
Oh,
But individuals who pursue a residency, you truly just want to get better and grow. And I know it depends on the program, but the program that I'm a part of, they're incredibly supportive and helpful. And it's really a beautiful community that inspires me to grow more and to learn more and to become a better dentist and, prosthodontist. And I feel like my level of care would have been very much limited if I didn't pursue residency.
wow. So you can still choose to be a dentist, and not pursue
Yeah,
residency?
so I could have, for example, just graduated dental school and just do dentistry. I don't need to be a specialist.
Ah, so advantage of being a specialist is to.
For example, I'll give you other uh, examples of specialties that I
Uh,
think will kind of broaden out the view.
sure.
A dentist is kind of like a core where a dentist can do everything. He can do a bit of crowns, a bit of fillings, some root canals, right? Can extract some teeth. But if a tooth is really hard to extract, they send it to a specialist that's called an oral
Ah,
surgeon. If a
okay.
tooth is really hard to do a root canal on, they send it to an endodontist, which specializes in doing really hard root canals.
Ah,
If the rehabilitation or just the structure of the mouth is difficult for them to fix it with just a few fillings or crowns, they send it to a prosthodontist, which is me.
ah,
So a dentist is like a good base, right? But if you want to really address a problem really well, you send it to somebody who just specializes in that little area.
oh, and after you
So
finish that 3 years, you're gonna go to a bigger hospital, or can you run your own clinic?
I can run my own clinic, but the kind of patients I would see is not just for like one crown. Most of
Ah,
my patients will be dentists who are seeing that the problems that the patient has is more than just a few fillings or crowns. They need comprehensive care. And so they'll write to me and they'll be like, oh, Dr. Neddie, here's a patient. And I'll look at that patient and, I'll be working with them to make sure that they can have that quality of life back.
wow. I had no idea. I didn't. I don't think I've heard of dentist residency. I don't know. So this
Uh-huh.
is kind of like apprenticeship, right?
Apprenticeship,
It's kind of like
there
that.
are those.
Yeah.
So, for example, what my brother, he did an AEGD. I don't remember what it stands
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. Yeah.
But basically, he didn't specialize. He just went for a little bit more training. And in that training, he learned how to place implants, how to do some, bone graft, a little bit tougher procedures that weren't introduced in dental school. And that was kind of his apprenticeship. For me, I will become a specialist where I um, I I resolve difficult situations for dentists, right? And so if a dentist is struggling with something, they can send it to me and I will be working on it.
I
I
see.
feel like most people often go to the dentist.
Yeah.
A prosthodontist isn't necessarily like, say, if 100% of people go to a dentist, I would probably maybe see 40 to 60% of patients who a dentist can't do anything for, or they're like, I don't know how to place implants, but this prosthodontist does, and so they'll send them to me to place the implants and to place the crowns on the implants.
Oh, I see. So why did you
So
decide to pursue residency?
I encouragement from my brother, encouragement from my faculty, and the artistic side of dentistry really comes through in the specialty of prosthodontics.
Uh,
Um, I get to really re-engineer how an individual bites to make sure that I can, instead of them destroying their teeth with the way that they eat or bite, I'm able to kind of bring balance again.
wow.
And so I like that aspect of being able to collaborate with a patient in this way that'll create a large difference for them. My ultimate goal is I want to do one more year after my specialty for something called, you probably never heard of this, a maxillofacial prosthodontist.
Okay. It sounds like a dinosaur.
So many new things you're learning.
Sounds like a dinosaur.
This is super exciting. I wish I
Yeah.
had some photos to show you.
Yeah.
It's when an individual is missing, like they've had cancer or some sort of trauma, or they were born that way, where they have like a uh, not, I don't want to say, like they have a malformation of some sort, like their ear isn't fully developed, or they had trauma to their face, or they lost their eye, right, due to a surgery or cancer, tumor removal. That really, really impacts the way that the patient lives, right? Imagine you're like, you don't have a nose and there's just a hole there, right? It's difficult to go out in public, difficult to kind of continue that life. And so, what I want to do is being able to make prosthetics for these people. So, if a patient is missing their nose, I can make that nose. If a patient's missing their eye or part of their mouth or a little bit of their ear, I can fabricate that where they're actually able to replace it with silicone prosthesis.
Wow, that's really cool. That sounds like plastic surgery.
Almost, almost.
Wow. So that's your plan.
That's my plan. I have a incredible mentor who he gave a lecture at our dental school in our first year, and I saw that and I loved it. And it
Wow.
was my first time hearing about it, and I think when I was going back and forth of like, do I want to go into prosthodontist, seeing how much I'm able to gain information to be able to help patients and help them in such a way where it goes from them not being able to smile and actually face everyday life to seeing them integrate back into a friend group or their community. I thought is just an incredible way to bless someone and be able to be a part of that transformation.
That's awesome. I really admire how you love challenges. Everything that you have just told me sounds like a bunch of headache, but you want to solve them.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know where this drive comes from, but I think if you look at it in the sense of just having to do it and not having a connection or a passion for it, it would be a lot of headache. But I think for me, it's become so important to um, the big. Let me do back up a little bit and tell you, I guess, a story of a patient that I had in third year of dental school. I had a patient who came into my dental school and she lost her teeth, basically had a drug problem. And then her daughter was born and she turned her life around. But the drug abuse that she had affected her teeth and they needed to come out. We weren't able to save them. And the way that she would speak was like this. She, never smiled and always held her fist in front of her mouth. Um, and she was in such a vulnerable position of the way that her smile was really affected the way that she spoke, the way that she viewed herself. It was in a very negative light. And but she was such a beautiful person, personality wise, and just appearance wise. But that one aspect just really confined her into a box which she wasn't able to get out of. And we kind of worked with her together, took out the teeth that were hurting her, and gave her some dentures to be able to place. And we placed those dentures, and you could see how it changed just in that moment, how much the view of herself changed because she saw something in the mirror which she was always hoping to see. She saw a smile, you could see tears in her eyes, and she was just like, I can't believe that this is me. And throughout, next time that she came, like her fist that she always had in front of her mouth was practically gone. She was
Wow.
smiling, she was talking, and you could see that this wasn't just at the dental office. She actually had the courage to be able to participate with others in her life.
Wow.
And, I'm not there to see that participation. But again, in that creative form, something that I've made for a patient that's enabled them to reach a new sphere of, life in a sense.
Wow.
It's incredibly humbling, and I want to be able to be a part of more of those experiences where it makes me truly incredibly happy to see a patient happy and enjoying life.
Wow. What is a denture?
A denture, it's I love. Oh wow, wow! What's a denture?
So
So
something was not available and you put something there.
yes, yes. So a denture is when a lot of people who are older and who have lost their teeth
Oh,
and just
okay.
have gums.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and so they just have like a plastic kind of tooth
Ah,
rim that they place in.
grandmas have them, right? Some grandmas.
What was that?
I've seen grandmas wearing them.
Yes, yes,
My own
grandmas,
grandma.
grandpas, yeah,
Yeah.
older, and then they kind of like in cartoons, you always see them take it out and put it into a cup of water.
Yeah, my mom
Yeah,
hated
yeah,
that. my, mom,
yeah. That's a denture.
my mom was always telling my grandma not to put it because we were using it to brush our teeth. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Wow, that's fantastic. So, would you like to run your own clinic after you finish that 2 more years of residency and 1 more year of that, uh, like something plastic surgery?
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to. I'd love to have my own clinic. I want to be able to do it in collaboration with my brothers, and make it like a
Wow.
family thing. I love my brothers. They're absolutely incredible, best brothers ever. And I think working with them would be a lot of fun. And I think we could reach out to a lot of patients that way and be able to give them a very comprehensive care and, make them feel safe and comfortable and make sure that, their anxiety is very low in the chair.
Yeah, are we talking about three siblings wanting to run their own dental clinic together?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's incredible. Wow, that's amazing. And all three of you are on the same page.
Yeah, we're on the same page. We're literally, I got into dental school. My brother completed dental school, and we looked at my little brother, and we're like, "You're gonna go to dental school." And he was like, "Okay." He didn't have a choice.
And you guys have pursued different like areas or something?
Yeah. So for me, I want to focus on full mouth rehabilitation. So if a patient has a lot of problems, they come to me. My older brother is focusing more on like surgery aspect and just regular fillings. He's a general dentist. And my younger brother wants to be able to put on braces. So orthodontist, that's another specialty.
Wow, you guys are gonna sucking up all the customers in the area and serve people. Incredible.
That's the goal.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And then the last thing that you mentioned before the interview began, you had to deal with some kind of problem with the vaccine or something.
Yeah, yeah. So, I, the way that things, my last year at my school, they required everybody to be able to take this vaccine. And the way they were going about it was
Forced.
very, very heartless in a way.
Yeah.
There was a lot of disagreement. A lot of faculty did not agree with it. There was a uh, faculty that was just incredible and a great asset to the school that left because of the situation. And they were, um, regardless that I was in my last year and just, finishing up studies or my personal convictions or beliefs, they would not back down from basically allowing me to continue and like not taking the vaccine. So I ended up getting vaccinated. And the way they went around it was I was asked to stay a little bit longer at the school, regardless if I saw patients or not. The short rundown is what it seemed like to a lot of the people who were involved with the situation was I went against the institution and they didn't like that, so I had to do my time. And so it was very discouraging. I didn't think that, I'd be able to continue education. A lot of heartache. But in that time, I just kind of did what I thought was right. My basis for everything was kind of grounded in my belief in God and me being able to take care of my body and making sure that, you know, I'm healthy. And I kind of, at that time, this was the time that all the interviews for our residency were going on. And I kind of gave it to God. I was like, um, I trust that you have a plan for me. I'll leave it at your hands. My schooling is in your hands, whether I continue or not. I just want to be able to serve you, and if you're able to, allow me to be a dentist, I'd love to be a dentist. And instead of only allowing me to be a dentist, things worked out in such a magnificent way where after I've kind of dedicated and given this problem to God, I was able to. I was invited for an interview at my current school, at my residency, and they interviewed me. And this place was mine. It was the kind of place where I look and I'm like, I will never be able to make it here, regardless. It just was such an optimal place in my mind, and I kind of forgot about it. But I applied to it without much hope. They gave me an interview. I got accepted. And even though the school that I was at was not willing to work with my situation and allowing me to graduate on time, I found out about this. And as soon as I found out, kind of reached out to the program. And residency works in such a way where your spot is guaranteed as long as you show up when they ask you. A residency doesn't have to actually keep your spot. They'll be like, oh, you're not coming in on time. Sorry, we'll find somebody else. And that was kind of the big risk. And, that's most of the time what happens. And I reached out to them, and the director was like, it's okay. It's fine. We'll figure it out. And I was able to make it here. The way that things turned around in an instant where I wasn't sure of my education, everything was on the line, right? But to me, my relationship with God at that time, I knew that there is nothing, I wasn't sure of the path that I was going to be able to take, but I knew that I wanted to take it with God. So not compromising in my belief led to so many opportunities opening up that I had no clue would be able to be opened up.
Wow.
I met an incredible mentor who is a maxillofacial prosthodontist, and I was able to shadow him. I grew closer to a lot of my faculty who supported me in my decision, and if they were religious, they prayed for me. And I found a lot of people who, um, even though they weren't able to speak out, actually spoke to me, encouraged me. We prayed together. We grew closer together. And I think that really highlighted the point for me as I was leaving school that if you follow your conscience, if you follow your conscience at the cost of becoming a dentist,
That's a lot.
things will actually, you know, work out better than you thought, particularly because you're not sacrificing something that you will have to live with for the rest of your life. Um, so I appreciate where I'm at right now and the career that I am building because I was able to walk into it with my convictions and by being true to what I believe.
Wow.
Um,
So if I simply put, you wanted to continue to finish your residency without being vaccinated, and the previous school didn't allow.
um, the Not that I wanted to go into my residency unvaccinated. At that point, I wasn't
Ah,
accepted. I didn't
okay.
have an interview to the
Oh, you wanted
residency.
to start.
For me to
Okay.
finish my last year and to get my dental license,
Okay.
they wanted me to be vaccinated.
That was at a dental school.
Yes, that was at the dental school.
Okay.
And it was, yeah, there was a lot of nuances that came into that. But basically, anybody who didn't comply with anything they said, they just kind of kicked out.
So
Yeah,
anti-vaxxers got kicked out of the dental school.
yes. Yeah. So if you weren't doing what they were wanting you to do, chopping block, you're out. It was a very harsh environment. As This is how harsh it got. My brother missed the he got vaccinated and then missed the opportunity to be vaccinated by a day. Right? They had like 2 weeks grace period, and he was like a day late, and they suspended him for a whole year.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was very. Um, I think COVID in this instance, showed a lot of. Um, there was a lot of things that you saw in COVID where there was a lot of kindness and goodness and people working together, but there was also a lot of um, cutthroat and coldness that you could see in the world, and I got to experience that part of it.
Wow.
Um, because of it, I think I am able to really appreciate where I'm at right now. I think I would have much less appreciation if I wasn't able to kind of go through that and actually place what matters first to me, and that's God and my relationship with God.
Wow.
Um, and by placing, I truly, truly see that by placing God first in my life and in my decision, God blessed me and allowed me to be able to have the experience that I have.
Oh, that's awesome. So, in your choice, you're standing up for God, standing up for the truth, in the way you were convicted, and then if something miraculous hadn't happened, you might not have been able to graduate and get a dental license, right?
100%. Yeah. I was kind of going into this, and at that point, it wasn't like, oh, God's going to take care of me. I'm going to be a prosthodontist. I had no clue.
You had no clue.
I was literally on the verge of, if I come out of this with, and dental school, in perspective, just from dental school, I'm about $400,000 in debt.
Wow.
And I would be walking away with
just
$400,000 in
just
debt and no way to pay for it. I would have to just work as a cashier for the rest of my life or whatever it is, you
That's a
know?
lot of money. That's like a house price.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm very thankful for, uh, I understand that, in the situation, people could have been like, well, yeah, I can, do this. I could compromise. I was in such an area in my life where this really um, would be a compromise on my part if I backed down from my beliefs, or
So
if I at least, didn't speak to them about it with the school. Um, and
so was it a different faculty that helped you, or was it a different school that accepted you?
I ended up getting vaccinated and finishing up my year at the school. Where I was in my education, because it was my last year, I reached out to a lot of different schools, but they would uh, toss me back a couple of years.
Uh,
And so there was nowhere that I could just like finish 6 months because that's all I needed. I needed 6 months to finish my schooling.
oh, I see. Wow.
Yeah. And um, I know that, the kind of hardship and things that I went through could have just, been avoided by, like choosing what hill you die on, right? And like, okay, well, this isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And just kind of, going forward, kind of staying under the radar, graduating, going to residency on time. Um, just, the way that things worked out, I think I learned very valuable lessons. I learned how to, watch out for yourself and being able to take care of yourself, not relying on any kind of administration or an institution,
Yeah.
because they have your back one time, but you don't play by how they like, and you're on your own. There's a lot of lessons that I learned just in terms of logistics like that. But the biggest one I think is um, if whether you believe in God or not. Um, I know that God answers prayers whether you've had a relationship with Him or not. If you truly follow, your conviction, even if it seems impossible,
Yeah.
you just kind of give it to God, and you're like, "Hey, God, I know you. I've never known you. Um, can I just give this to you?" You might not know what that is. You might be going into, yeah, you're not going to have a job, or you might actually get promoted and be able to keep your job even, more so than you thought. It really comes down to taking that leap of faith, standing by what you believe, and at the end of the day, um, you're going to be able to be a much more authentic version of you, not really burdened down by things you had to do because of somebody else. You didn't overstep your conscience, and you're actually able to be stronger and move forward, regardless of the situation you're going to be in.
Mm. Because originally, when you first told me the story, I thought you didn't want to get the vaccine, uh, and then somebody else helped you. You're still able to finish without getting vaccinated. But what you're saying is you changed your mind, got vaccinated, and then still God came through and then helped you graduate. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, uh, to I guess we can kind of get into the details of it, but um, for me, before this happened around October, and in my dental school life, I compromised a lot in terms of schooling versus God, and I'm like, okay, well, it's important that I get this done. It's important that this, and God kind of fell behind second, third, fifth, 10th place, right? Just kind of kept on going further. And towards the end of my dental school career, I was very discouraged that I allowed something so um, material and temporal to actually, reside in the first place, which I wanted to give to God. And when October comes around, my birthday, I kind of always have some sort of rededication prayer, and so I prayed to God, and I was like, God, I really don't want to compromise. I want to live out, whether it be in health, keeping myself healthy, or, being able to spend time in your word every day. I want to be able to pursue you above anything else. And so I kind of rededicated myself. And like the day after, I get this notice that it's like, oh, you need to get vaccinated.
Oh.
And in light of that, this was because of everybody has a little bit of a different take on it. I think as we are learning more about the virus, we see that maybe certain things that we thought about the vaccine, or the way to battle the virus, were wrong, or places that we could improve on. And a lot of the research that I've done kind of made me be really cautious about being able to have this vaccine. I've had a lot of friends who had side effects from it, and I just didn't want to. What it looked like to me is that I'm getting vaccinated to continue pursuing school, regardless of making sure that I keep myself healthy and, for God. Because if something happens to me, and I lose my health, that is one aspect that I've lost to praise God. And so health is a very important aspect to me.
Yeah.
And so on that basis, I was very hesitant to take this vaccine, because what it seemed like to me was that I am taking this vaccine solely to pursue school.
Yeah.
I am placing school again above God.
Yeah.
And this is where I really ran into it. And I remember, talking to God. I'm like, God, I can't do this because I don't want to compromise. And I just, I won't take this vaccine. I won't pursue anything further. And I'll just leave it in your hands, and I know you'll take care of me. And kind of, prayed that and went on with my day. And throughout the days, after kind of, committing myself to God in that sense, whatever there was in me that was so against taking this vaccination, or, it was just gone.
Oh, okay.
And so it wasn't that I was like, well, okay, yeah, maybe, I'll just do it and kind of grumble my way through it.
Yeah.
Whatever I felt in like my soul and understanding, whatever I had against, or feared with taking this vaccine,
Yeah.
and using it as a compromise for God, I feel like because my decision was to praise God and to keep myself healthy and to abstain from it, in a sense, I've given that battle and I've won it.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought about it, and I was like, God, I understand, my heart, that I want to praise you, that I want to glorify you, that I want to keep myself healthy. And I got vaccinated and, continued on with school. I did have some side effects that I had to, be monitored for, but everything kind of went really well afterwards. And as soon as, it was interesting because I was going through this whole period of, drought, basically, and really praying and feeling that, it was this internal battle. As soon as I gave it up to God, that is when I was able to, I found that Minnesota has reached out to me. I reached out back, and they were able to set up an interview for me. I had the interview. I got accepted. So it felt like my life was going like this. And then I just kind of gave it to God, and it was peaceful. It was like a storm, and then everything was at peace. And then from then I was like, and it was incredible because not only did it impact me and my faith in God, but I know that it impacted others, and others who, had no connection with God or a relationship with them. They, reached out to me, and they were like, what I saw happen in your life was incredible. I'm just so astonished that you were able to, stick by your guns to what you believe in, and I see this happening in your life. So regardless of if they began a relationship with God or not, they saw that something was different, which opened up a lot of new conversations, new friends, new ways to interact with people, and um, I feel like would I follow? Um, would I do the same thing again if I went back? I don't know. Possibly. I think so.
Yeah.
Um, I I think now that I'm looking back, I'm like, okay, well, that was kind of difficult. Maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But if I was back in the past and I had no clue of the future, I think I would go back to the same, um, just because having a clear conscience to live with and being able to have that conscience before somebody who you value greatly um, is just very empowering.
I think when you make a decision for God, when it's difficult, shapes you into a completely different person. Because when I was in military service in Korea, I wanted to keep the Sabbath and I was being punished. They sent me to prison. And
Oh.
I was there for 1 year and 2 months. But it was the greatest experience. So, and I am very different from the person that I was before I went there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think when we make decisions for God, when it's very conflicting and just very stressful, you become more confident in your
Yeah.
identity. So
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it builds your backbone.
yeah,
And I think that sets you apart because you actually are able to be an individual and think for yourself. It gives you the freedom to stand alone for whatever you believe. It gives you the freedom to truly be you and to actually, in a sense, grow closer to God and grow closer to the understanding that hardships are not to be afraid of.
yes,
Because, you get sent to prison one time, well, what's another time?
exactly.
Yeah, and so, actually, because of this, I got into residency, and most recently, I had a professor who scheduled a exam on a Friday night, and I was like, I can't do it because it's Saturday. And in one sense, I'm like, well, I don't want to cause so much trouble again. But I understood. I'm like, if I stood up for what I believed a year ago, with the whole vaccine situation, nothing's changed. And I want to stand up for God right now because I believe that, I don't want to participate in this on Saturday. And at first he was like, no, it won't work. And then I just, prayed about it, thought about it, wrote him an email and be like, okay, well, here's some options. And we actually settled down on a time where I'm able to take it. And, everything worked out well.
That's
Um,
awesome. That's beautiful.
yeah. So I think standing up for what you believe and standing up for God gives you a courage that um, a lot of people may actually desire to have as well.
Yeah, it gives you stability. If you just do whatever everybody else says, who are you? But if you can
Yeah.
actually stand up for the conviction,
Mm-hmm.
life is more fun.
Yeah, it is more adventurous, right?
Exactly. Wow, it was great hearing from you. It was very refreshing to hear what a dentist have gone through, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to hearing your story again after you work with your brothers in the
Yes,
future.
yes. Once I finish all of my schooling, right?
Yeah, hopefully I can talk to you again at the time.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Well, we'll do that. I'll reach out to you as soon as I graduate,
Oh,
right?
awesome! I'll be waiting for that text.
Yeah, me too. No, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah,
Um, it was very, I think, uplifting to think about everything that God has done,
yeah,
and just considering the costs of what truly it took to become a dentist. It took a lot more than human effort.
exactly. You're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and probably your your time to give your friend a ride, right?
Yeah, she actually got home. Got home on time. So
Okay.
she
Okay.
sent a message. I saw it pop up while we were
Okay.
talking. But
She already went home.
yeah, I think the next thing that I would love to see on your channel is you doing yourself counting the costs of completing military.
Oh yeah. You can interview me, but I don't know. Many people have asked me that question, and then it's like article is somewhere, like
Oh,
testimonies are somewhere. I've done a lot of them, but yeah, we can talk more about that.
okay. Yeah, no, love it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so
Hmm.
much.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
So, yeah.
stay.
Do you want me to hang up or?
Oh yeah, I was gonna. Somebody's calling me.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Hope this was a lot of fun. Hope
Yeah,
that it's reaches a lot of people for you.
sure. Stay safe and healthy and happy.
Yeah, will do. Same to you and your family.
Yep. Bye bye.
Hmm.
But
Bye.
how do you say your name?
I go by Neddie, but Nadezhda is my full name.
Nediz.
Nadezhda.
Nadezda.
Yeah, or Neddie. Neddie's really easy.
Okay. Bye, Neddie. I was gonna say
Yeah,
Neddie, but I just
bye.
wanted to learn.
Yeah, have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.